So I just want to do a part two to the time because I kind of got cut off because I didn't have time. Those who know me deeply know that time travel for me is one of the most difficult things I've ever experienced, if not the most difficult thing I've ever experienced. Integrating that into this experience, knowing the future, the past, jumping around, doing all this stuff, keeping the timeline firm because I could make a choice in a heartbeat that would shred that timeline. I know how to shred timelines. I've done it before. I've jumped them. I've met people where there were potentials for timelines with those people. And I decided I did not want that. And I would shred it from my experience, the contracts, the everything, shred it all, get rid of it, done, over. I know how to do that. I also know how important it is to hold the timeline that I see to ensure certain things happen for this world and this collective. It is an exhausting, emotionally, physically, spiritually, and mentally exhausting, which is why it has been so difficult for me to start that book, because that is also a book I'm working on in my mind. It's written. I have not been able to bring myself to put the words on paper because it is so emotionally taxing. And I probably need to because it would be healing as well to release it. But what I tell people is like time travel, everybody thinks, oh, it's fun, it's games, it's back to the future. We're going to, just hop around and do things and shift. No, it's a big responsibility, a huge responsibility. You have no idea if you don't actually do the work, how much responsibility you have because you're no longer responsible for yourself. You're responsible for all of the energies that you're involved with and holding the future if you see that future and knowing that you will see things in the future that are not what we perceive as the highest good, but are of the highest good. Just because we perceive something as being a negative event doesn't mean it's not of the highest good. And having to know some of those things and know they exist, know they're going to happen, but not be able to tell people, not be able to do anything or shift it, to change it. Because if you change it, you actually change the outcome of the timeline because you're changing the course, the current. The time is like a river that one timeline is like a river going linearly. Time is not linear. Let's not get into that and how it actually works, but let's think of a single timeline. A single timeline in the human mind is linear. It's like a river, right? And you decide to take a stick and divert the river. Well, just because the river was going this way and was going to hit this lake up ahead, you take a stick or build a bridge or do something to divert that from this little space. Say you want to divert it around a rock for some reason. I don't know why, but this might be a bad analogy too. Say you want to divert it around a rock or a bunch of trees. So it's flowing this way for a reason. It's going to this lake. It's going through the rock and the trees to the lake. Then you divert it. You build a bridge or put some rocks in or whatever you do. You do something to change it so that it no longer is going to happen. And so the water is flowing and flowing, and then it hits the bridge and it goes a different direction. Well, once it goes a different direction, it may not go back to the lake. It may find a different route downhill and end up in a different lake or an ocean or something. When you divert it, when you change it, you're shifting it you're basically creating a new timeline. You're basically shifting it to a new timeline, a new space of existence. So it's not easy, is the point. Because you want to change things. You want to not only change things, you're going to want to speed them up. You're going to see something so phenomenally beautiful if you're doing this work, conscious work. You're going to see your old self and you're going to see your future self and be like, I want to be the future self. I want to be in that space. I want to be there. not realizing you have to go through all this other stuff to get there. If you don't go through that other stuff, if you force what you see to come, it actually won't stick because you won't learn your lessons, you won't do the work you need to do, you won't clear your karma, your trauma, heal, do all this stuff to get to that space. Those futures only happen if the events XYZ occur for that stream of time. You can speed them up. You can do quantum work. You can do this other stuff to speed up different things and realities in that. We also have choices of other energies involved. And so you have to be aware, how are you affecting the other energies that you're involved with? Are you interfering with free will? I clicked out for a second. My guides were like talking to me. Are you interfering with free will? Remember, energy is all about free will. Even though we're firming a timeline into place and doing our best to hold it, we cannot interfere with free will. If somebody decides to make a choice that goes against the timeline, that is their right. All we can do is do our best to hold it by guiding people to it, by teaching them, by showing them a better way, by showing them how to reality hop, how to do these different things. We cannot force them. And so seeing all these potentials, I used to see my friends back in my 20s, they would get mad, because I'd be like, XYZ is going to happen. And then it would happen. I'd look at a person and be like, I don't trust that person. Or this is going to happen with this boyfriend, or, whatever. Oh, no, that's not going to happen. Like, okay, I got to step out of it. I had to learn to step out of it. I used to get into fights with people, not fights, but arguments, disagreements, whatever you want to call them, about like, hey, don't do this. This is going to happen. I can see it clearly in my mind. This is going to happen. I had to learn to step away and just not get involved. I don't even tell people anymore. Like, it's not my job. It's not my responsibility. I can see it so that I'm aware of it, and I can help guide them if they need me as a guide for any reason. I can say, hey, if you are, you need some help at any time, just come talk to me and I'll help you. If they ask me, I can then guide them because they're willing to accept it. If they have not asked me, they're not ready to accept it. That's what I learned. So I used to get, tell people like, hey, this guy's going to cheat on you. This woman's going to steal from you, whatever it is. I would see it. And that causes a lot of anxiety. It causes a lot of turmoil in your life with your friends. And then they come back and they're like, oh my God, you were right. And it's like, because you can see the future, you can see the timelines. You ultimately have to learn that with time travel, other people's decisions, events, and all that are not our responsibility. We see it, drop it. It's not ours. We can see it, drop it, leave it, walk away. Just keep it in the back of your mind and be like, you're a guide to them if they come to you for help. Then with the stuff that's personal to us, because we're human, we have emotions. You have to learn to deal with your emotions healthy way and to have a support system, because there can be a lot of just difficulty with the things you can see and the people from the future that you experience who may not exist in the experience now. So you need a support system, and just to understand that it's a difficult journey, a taxing journey, but also a beautiful one. And I'm not trying to make it out like, oh, it's all bad. It's actually very beautiful, special, unique, and not everybody can do it. And if you have that calling to do it, it's because you're strong enough to do it. Just keep that in mind. It may get hard at times, but if you have that capability of traveling your timeline to firm it in place, you're strong enough to get past all of the difficulties, all of the emotions, all the other stuff. So hopefully that helped as a part 2. Love you all. Grateful for each and every one of you.